He was born to win. Acrobatic gymnastics is a spectacular and volitional sport. The names of Vasily Machuga and Vladimir Pochevalov are inscribed in letters of gold in its history. The Machuga-Pochevalov duo burst into acrobatics. In 1974, the Krasnodar Spartak players became the best in the national championship. In 1976, the absolute champions of the USSR, and a little later conquered the World Cup. The athletes won the right to represent the country in the world arena. They took part in 42 competitions, and each time they were the first. In 1984, the International Federation of Sports Acrobatics recognized the Machuga-Pochevalov pair as the best pair of the decade. For a long time, no one could do the figures that they performed. From the book by Vasily Machuga, This Is My Whole Life. I do not believe when they say that such and such an athlete does not keep score of his or her victories. All of us athletes are simply bound to do this, because this is what sport is all about. It is all about competition. The meaning of competition is to identify the winner. We do not train to lose. We were not tormented in vain. All that hard work and care we received was not in vain. All that sweat was not wasted. Therefore, we had to be the first. When a person is second, this is already a complication for his or her heart. Then one begins to think, begins to worry, how come? I should have tried a little harder, just a little more, and I would have been number one. But it did not work.
Как же так, вот я бы вот еще чуть-чуть бы я был бы первым, а ну не получилось.
They stepped onto the competition floor to win. A success like this would have been impossible without the coach Viktor Dmitrievich Narikov. Vasily Machuga determined the level of professional and human qualities of Narikov by a single phrase his coach used to repeat: "We need to win a victory nobody is able to challenge." The whole workload lay on Lilia Georgievna, since our coach Narikov Viktor Dmitrievich and she are the two people I'm most obliged to. As soon as one competition routine was completed, they had to get ready with a new one. Narikov invited Lilia Lavrov to stage choreography. Figuratively speaking, she turned us into guinea pigs. We were hooks, and she turned us into acrobats.
Мы были крючками, а она из нас сделала акробатов.
It was a real breakthrough. Each performance of the pair Machuga-Pochevalov caused the admired comments of the foreign press. Daily Mirror: these two unique athletes became at Wembley as popular as Sir Matthews, an outstanding English football player. Such popularity gave rise to many myths about Soviet athletes, but some things were true. We went along the pedestrian bridge in Paris, over the river Seine there, and there was a skirmish. A fight began. He went to protect. He could not fight, but stopped the people. They dispersed. He fell, and that was it. And this ended the fight. They stopped the bullies. This is what he told me. It was not written anywhere.
Я имею в виду тот, кто хулиганил. Хулиганов они, в общем, остановили. Это он рассказывал, но это нигде не писали. Вот так.
In New York, a fellow came up. He was a journalist and said, "Come on." "Well, shall we go?" "Come on." We went out into the balcony, and when I got up on Vasily's head, I said to him, "Vasya, do not look there. It's very low. Looks like a neck-breaking stunt." He got me off his head and then onto a handstand. Then I stood up on his shoulders and said, "Look over there." He looked and said, "Yes, this is pretty risky." The 12th floor it was, yes.
В стойку с головы я сошел, когда это самое на плечи стал. Я говорю, ну посмотри вот туда. Ну он посмотрел, да, говорит, это жесть. 12-й этаж был, да.
The Eiffel Tower is most exciting, of course. When we climbed there, I said, "Vasya, what if I get over there? There's nobody around." And I climbed and performed a handstand on the railing. People gasped. Yes, there were people below. They looked and gasped.
Делал на перилах стойку. Просто ахнули. Ну, там люди смотрели снизу.
In sports acrobatics, there are bases and tops. Traditionally, the athlete in the base is the boss. However, they were a duo, an inseparable pair. my handstand and his balance.
баланс.
Vasily and Volodya came up with a special ritual of their own before they would step onto the floor. From the book by Vasily Machuga, This is My Whole Life. Now that we have stopped playing in the world of sports, I will also open this secret. I always remembered my village Stanitsa Peryaslavskaya, my neighbors, who once complained about my jogging. They thought I was nuts. I saw, as if in reality, the endless Kuban steppes and the beloved bank of the Besug River all overgrown with reeds. Vasily Nikolaevich was convinced that the love of physical education had to be taught from early childhood. In one of his interviews with a local newspaper, he said that no gym, stadium, sneakers would help unless children or even adults were aware of the supreme vital importance of regular sport activity. Everyone had to understand that physical culture is as essential and necessary as brushing your teeth. It starts with simple workouts, jogging, playing a game. That is why he dreamt of building a modern sport complex for the 15,000 army of children in the neighborhood of the Gidrostrelitely district in Krasnodar. The sports complex was built, of course, thanks to Vasya. He was still a really young fellow, but already was Komsomol organizer of the team. 4 warehouses were bought by Vladimir Yakovlevich Aganezev, the chairman of the Regional Truth Society. 2 sheds he turned into a track and fields athletic arena in Stadium Truth, and Vasily was able to drag the other 2 and unite them, and then everything got started. He knocked on the doors of construction businesses. Sometimes parents helped, sometimes friends, some provided bricks, some cement. Some worked on Saturdays, on Sundays, and even on training days. We would train at different facilities and then would come to the construction site and help with whatever we could, hand bricks to bricklayers, mix cement, and help in every possible way. This is the method we use for the construction. But then everyone was on the rise. We were full of enthusiasm. We had to have a sport complex, a special facility, and we had it constructed, inspired by Vasily Nikolaevich.
Туда перенести, там замешать, то есть методом вот такой вот стройки, и все строилось, да. Ну тогда все были на подъеме, тогда все рвали и метали, да, нужно построить, вот. Тем более такой вдохновитель был, как Василий Николаевич. Вот, и все, и состоялось.
To 50 events a year, starting from school and ending with international competitions are held in this hall. They include 2 stars, a major event in memory of Viktor Norikov and Vasily Machuga. In the same period, 107 apartment building for athletes and coaches was constructed in the Yubileyny district.
Это был
Precedent number 1 in the sport. Even in our region, there had never existed a residential apartment building for athletes. And of course, the whole house, which was already being built, 1-room and 2-room apartments for young coaches and for athletes. We specified which team goes when and does the construction work. Vladimir Nikolaevich, you're going there today. You put on the uniform and you're going to start work in the morning by 8. You will do the work of a builder. The next day, some other people would go. So it was already determined by the Council of Coaches who would get the apartment. We would look who lived in rented apartments and then say, Kravchenko, this is your apartment. Zadirieva, this means your apartment will be right here.
А этот живет на квартире. Ну что, давайте ему поможем. Довели квартиру, достроили там туда-сюда. Все, Кравченко, это твоя квартира. Ага, Задиреева, это значит будет твоя квартира.
Records for which fans come to stadiums are reasonable subordination of all vital functions of an athlete to one desire to show the highest sporting result. What if lengthy preparations and trainings are not enough to gain a victory? After all, in present-day sports, the score is not even for a second, but for hundreds of seconds. What will happen then? From the book by Vasily Machuga, This is My Whole Life. It seems to me that today negative phenomena penetrate into competitive sports. They have to be mercilessly battled against. What I have in mind is not fatal figures and tricks, but the use of all kinds of drugs for naturally fast and therefore harmful recovery. As for stimulants and doping, it requires measures that would uproot the very idea of doping. I have no special proposal on how this can be done, but I'm firmly convinced that without this sport will die and it will happen in the foreseeable future. I can suggest only one thing: do it through a coach. Other ways will not lead to the desired result. However, Vasily Nikolaevich was able to achieve the desired result.
Вы знаете,
You know,
степень
the degree of
убеждения,
persuasion he had,
вот,
he could even persuade
него
Vladimir to an
присутствовало-
element or figure that they had
он
never
даже
performed.
мог
With his
уговорить
engineering
Владимира
approach,
на
Viktor Dmitrievich
элемент,
was always
который
an
никогда не
opponent.
делали.
Let's go here,
Вот.
there it is.
Со
He would
своей
drive a picture,
инженерной
look around.
подходом
This
Виктор
is not the
Дмитриевич
way
был
it should
всегда
be.
таким
Do not worry,
оппонентом.
Chief. I'll give
Раз
it a
там,
try. 1,
давайте
2,
вот
3.
сюда, там
Okay,
это, раз,
let's
а
give
я
it
отсюда
another
туда,
try.
он,
We tried,
прежде
and
чем
it
это
worked.
нарисует, раз, посмотрит, так. Это, говорит, нет, вот так, не так. Да не волнуйся, шеф, я сейчас раз, два, три. Ну, ладно, давай попробуем. Раз, попробовали, и получилось.
That's what he was. He wore his heart on his sleeve. Whatever he thinks, he does. He was a very good man. During the 90s, he was called to a job to Moscow and approved as chairman of the State Committee for Physical Culture and Sports. For the Minister of Sports Machuga, paperwork was never more important than human beings. When he worked in Moscow, he was already the first Minister of Sports. Well, I once come and the secretary asks me, "Whom do you want to see?" I say, "Well, I want to see Vasily Nikolaevich." She tells him about the selector. "Vasily Nikolaevich, here comes Samnorika from Krasnodar." And then she says, "He's in the middle of a meeting." And then the door swings open. Vasily Nikolaevich jumps out, grabs me into a most hearty hug, and brings me into the office. He says, "Comrades, excuse me for God's sake. My coach is here and he is like family for me."
И тут распахивается дверь, выскакивает Василий Николаевич, хватает меня в охапку и заносит в кабинет. Говорит: "Товарищи, извините меня ради Бога. Родной тренер приехал."
Few people remember today that Vasily Nikolaevich was the first to come up with the idea of holding the Winter Olympic Games in Sochi. As soon as he became the head of the Department of Education and visited sport arenas in Sochi and Adler, he came up with this idea, and I heard it for the first time, the possibility of holding the Winter Olympic Games here. After a while, he brought Smirnov, who was chairman of the State Sports Council of the Soviet Union then. All the constructions were shown to him, and then 90s started. I made a round of all these facilities, looked at them, and all the time thought, well, well, what a profit.
Показывают ему все структуры. И начинаются 90-е. И вот я объезжал все эти объекты, смотрел и все время вспоминал, думаю, ну надо же, провидец какой, вот сказал, можно.
As the young people say these days, Vasily Machuga lived the life of a winner. He did not do anything halfway. He left us in the prime of his life. His endeavors were carried on by his wife Natalia Machuga, his friends, and his sons. He was born to win.